Good evening. Welcome to the Torrance Candidates Forum, organized by the League of Women Voters. This forum is a chance to hear from candidates running for office in the Torrance City Government and to have your questions answered. I'm Deepti Kanappan, co-president of the League of Women Voters of Torrance area. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan organization founded in 1920 that runs programs for civic education, voter services, and advocacy throughout the United States. We believe in empowering voters through information and supporting them in having their voices heard at the polls. If you'd like to hear more about us or even join, please talk to one of our volunteers or collect a brochure. During this event, we welcome your written questions for the candidates. Volunteers will be handing out index cards and pencils, so please raise your hand if you have a question, and you can return the card to a volunteer or bring it to the question table up here. Please indicate if your question is for a mayor, treasurer, or council candidate. Each question will be directed at all the candidates for that position. We will hear from the candidates for City Council from now till 8 p.m. and the mayor and treasurer candidates from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. There are a few important rules that apply to this forum, and we may remind you about them a few times during the evening. Campaign literature and materials are not allowed inside this hall during the forum. That includes slogans on t-shirts or signs. Campaign materials are only allowed outside on the table in the lobby. Please don't respond by applauding or booing to any statements made by the candidates. We want the focus to be on their words. On the premises, candidates may not accept nor discuss campaign contributions or in-kind donations, such as hosting events on behalf of a candidate. If you need to have those discussions, please leave the premises first. We request that you keep your cell phones off during the forum. Unauthorized video recording is not allowed. We will make the official recording available to the public as soon as it's available. If you're a member of the media, please speak to a volunteer before you record. If you do record, we will request you to stop and we will ask you to delete the recording. Thank you for abiding by these rules, and I hope you have an informative evening. I will now hand the mic over to our moderator, Margot Rieg.
Good evening. And before I start, I'm going to turn my phone off. Okay, now I'm following the rules too. Good evening and welcome to this candidate forum for the mayor of City of Torrance, the treasurer of Torrance, and the council members for districts 1, 3, and 5 in Torrance. As Deepti said, the League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan political organization. Our purpose is to promote informed and active participation in government. We put on candidate forums as part of our voter service activity so that you, the voter, can actually ask your questions of the people who are running for office. Your city government is organized to provide services to the residents of Torrance and structure and planning for the effective operation and development of your city. Your local elected mayor and council members are just that, local, and should be accessible and responsible to the constituents who elect them. All of our candidates have agreed to participate according to the rules that were presented to them in their invitation. And as Deepti said, if you have a question, please write it down, indicate whether it's for mayor, treasurer, or council, and you can wave your card and somebody will come and pick it up for you and bring it up to the table. During this council forum, and we have council members running for districts 1, 3, and 5, they have drawn for order of speaking, so they aren't necessarily sitting next to their opponent. And because the council works as a body together, we will be having them all answer the questions as they are presented. They will have 1 minute to respond to each question, and they will have a minute and a half to give an opening statement, as well as a minute and a half to give a closing statement. Our timekeepers are seated here in the front, and they have signs to let you know how much time you have left, and a stop sign to tell you when it's time to quit. And we ask that you finish your sentence. You don't have to stop in the middle, but please don't turn that sentence into a paragraph. Okay, we will begin this evening by hearing opening statements from each of the candidates. They have a minute and a half to introduce themselves and to tell what their goals are as serving as a council member. Our timekeeper will give you a minute and a 30-second warning before you see the stop sign. So we will begin with our opening statements, and our first candidate is Assam Sheikh. Mr. Sheikh.
Good evening. Thank you. My name is Assam Sheikh, and I've been running for the City of Council. I've been honored to represent you for the last 4 years. First and foremost, I want to thank the League of Women Voters of Torrance area to host this wonderful event. 30 years ago, I accepted a position right here in the city of Torrance at American Honda Motor Company. At the time, my wife gave me a ride, and we fell in love with the city. This is a city we want to raise our kids. This is a city we want to retire one day. 20 years ago, I purchased a house here in the city of Torrance. Since then, I've been involved with community service, with engagement. I was a library commissioner. I was a civil service commissioner. I was a planning commissioner, chairman to the planning commissioner. I'm also part of the Torrance Education Foundation, Independent Citizens Oversight Committee's former chair, and many other volunteer work. Because this city is very important to me. I've been serving this city from my heart. I've dedicated my life for this city because I have been making difference in the city. And I want to thank you for giving me the chance to be your council member for the last 4 years. I have engaged with a lot of businesses. I have engaged with the city staff to make a difference and bring something that is important to you. I am your voice, I have been your voice, and I would like continue to be your voice. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. Next, we will hear from Mike Mauno.
Good evening. My name is Mike Motto, and I'm a lifelong resident of Torrance and a former Torrance City Council member. I'm running because Torrance needs a watchdog on the council. I've spent decades fighting for Torrance, focusing on local control, real accountability, and public safety. As a former council member, I proposed a border swap that brought $17 million to our city and schools. I led the charge to stop the county's homeless shelter for exclusive use by drug addicts and mentally ill from being dropped right in our civic center. Today, we face substantial challenges: irresponsible state-mandated overdevelopment, wasteful spending, threats to our public safety, and outside forces trying to override what's best for District Number 3. I've walked our streets, I run a small business, and served this city with accomplishments. I know how to get things done without raising taxes or compromising our quality of life. If you want a council member who will always put District Number 3 first, fight for accountability in every dollar spent, work to keep our neighborhood safe, and saying no when Sacramento or other county tries to push their bad policies on us, then I ask for your vote on June 2nd. I'm ready to get back to work for you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, we will hear from Mr. Harry Ward.
Hello, my name is Dr. Harry Ward, and I'm running for District 5 City Council for Torrance. I was a physician running a kidney transplant service since I was in training at Harbor UCLA here in Torrance. and continued to work at Harbor UCLA even after I moved to another city in the South Bay. I've been in the South Bay more than 40 years, and at the same time I was able to serve on active duty in the Navy as well as the Navy Reserve for 32 years, when I retired 5 years ago at the rank of captain. I've served in at least 2 wars in the Persian Gulf and Afghanistan, and of course I've lived a life of service. So working as your city councilman is just another job that, as far as I'm concerned, that requires a person who's devoted to service. So that's why I'm here. I think that this is a time on the local level where we really need to work hard to preserve our way of life. We can't depend on Washington or Sacramento to preserve our life, to keep the character of our neighborhoods, to keep up our protection in terms of the fire department and police and lower crime, as well as to improve business in the entire Torrance quality of life. So we're going to have to do this together on our level, and that's why I want to work as a city councilman in the city of Torrance. So thank you very much for your support.
Thank you. Next, we will be hearing from David Kartsonas.
First, I want to thank the League of Women Voters Torrance, as well as all of you for being here and being interested, involved. I'm David Kartsonas, and I own a home in North Torrance with my wife and our 2 children right over here. And I've been involved in the community from my time as a board member and president of the El Camino College Foundation to my time currently on the Torrance Cultural Arts Foundation, North Torrance AYSO, Torrance South Bay YMCA Board of Directors. I've also served as chair of the Technology Committee for the Torrance Area Chamber of Commerce for many years. I've served in an official capacity as Parks and Recreation Commissioner, as well as on the Planning Commission, and my peers have recently reelected me to serve my 3rd term as chair of the Planning Commission. My family owns a business in Torrance. We opened our office here over 30 years ago. My path to city council started decades ago through a lifetime of service to our community. My run for council is not opportunistic and it's not self-serving. I moved here because I love our community, and I'm running for the same reason. I love our community. Torrance is an incredible city, but council leadership has led us away from what made Torrance successful, and it has led us away from focusing on our residents and our businesses. The city's current economic development strategy is flawed, and I want to work with our resilient businesses and community to fix that and help Torrance reassume its position as the economic powerhouse of the South Bay. Our city is no longer focused on the interests of our residents, our streets, our parks, our safety, but instead pet projects of our council. I will return our focus to the residents, and I will reverse the last 4 years of neglect. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next candidate this evening is Michelle Brooks.
Thank you and good evening. I also want to thank the League of Women Voters here in the Torrance area for putting this forum together tonight. I'd like to start by telling you a bit about who I am. I grew up here in Torrance in the Hollywood Riviera, and my family's been a part of the Riviera for more than 60 years. After attending local Torrance schools, including South High and El Camino, I've had a long and successful career in public policy and government. That ultimately led me to senior leadership positions at the U.S. Peace Corps, where I eventually served as the chief of staff and managed the day-to-day operations of a $410 million agency overseeing 1,100 employees and 6,000 volunteers worldwide. Now I have a small business here in Torrance and have been active in the Torrance Chamber for the last few years. I'm ready for City Council to give back to the community that launched who I am. I see Torrance as a thriving and wonderful city, yet we have to remain vigilant in making sure we take care of the quality of life, of policy issues affecting quality of life, our safety, as well as local control. If elected, I will focus on protecting our hillside overlay, maintaining strong support for our police and fire, supporting our business community, as well as addressing homelessness. Thank you.
Thank you. And now we will hear from Betty Liu.
Good evening. Thank you to the League of Women Voters for putting on this forum, and thank you all for coming because you care about our city. I love Torrance. My husband and I live here for the past 25 years, and we raised our family here. Our children went to Riviera Elementary School, Richardson Middle School, and South High School. I'm running for the City of Torrance of City Council to make Torrance an even better place to live, work, and play. And I have the experience to do it. For 15 years, I've served as a Torrance City Commissioner, and for the last 7 years, I served as a Torrance City Council, as a Torrance School Board member. As president of the board, I balanced budgets of over $300 million, kept 22,000 students safe, and oversaw 3,400 employees. The readers of the Daily Breeze voted TUSD as the best school district under my tenure. As a former Deputy Attorney General and a felony prosecutor, I would champion public safety. I'm honored to be endorsed by the Torrance Police Officers Association, the Torrance Police Commanders Association, and the Torrance Firefighters Association. I will also fight overdevelopment and will always vote to enforce the Hillside Overlay Ordinance. I will fight to put in stronger, more objective standards in the Hillside Overlay. I will also work on attracting the best businesses and restaurants to Torrance, such as a great steakhouse. Thank you.
Thank you. And finally, we will hear from John Kaji.
Thank you to the League of Women Voters, and good evening, everyone. Thank you for your willingness to be civically engaged. As the current council member representing District 1, it's been an honor and a pleasure to represent the residents in Torrance. A little bit about my background. I've been running a successful business. Our family has had multiple businesses here in Torrance, going back to the 70s when we established Merit Savings and Loan on Western Avenue. Through the savings and loan, we generated thousands of home loans here in Torrance, and today, 40 years later, over 1,000 loans equal $1 billion plus in legacy wealth for those family members. For myself, what counts the most is serving the needs of the residents. I serve as a full-time council member, not a part-time one. When my wife asked me why I wanted to run, I said, well, honey, I could either play golf and go fishing or run for office. She goes, do what you want to do. So tonight, I'm happy to answer your questions. I look forward to meeting you back in District 1, and thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you. Now we have received a significant number of questions from the audience, and we will try to get as many of them answered as possible. I am going to, because this is a large group, ask a question of the first two people, another question of the second two people, and then we'll let the remaining people choose which question they'd like to answer. And then we'll start the round again, and if you want to go back and answer a question that you didn't get a chance to answer, then that may be an option. So, we will begin with, now I need this right side up, Mr. Mauno. And these people ask, how will you ensure transparency is brought to Torrance City Hall?
First of all, we have rules, and I'm happy to extend the rules that we have. I'm happy to provide anything, but it has to be very specific as to what the transparency means. Right now, the system is a little bit flawed, and it's difficult to get information. It needs to be made accessible, very easy, just like you go online and you find whatever. So I'm perfectly open to include more additional information that's required of all public servants.
Thank you. And next would be Mr. Ward.
That was 3. All right.
How will you promote alternative forms of transit and mobility? That is, bring metro services to Torrance.
Well, I support mass transit, the kind of metro system that we have now with busing. Of course, the electronic system or other types of trains are going to be some years away. The bicycle and other non-motorized means of transportation, I would also support, but I'm kind of concerned about bicycle safety and the way we interact with the cars in the city. One area that I think, and this is more in the future, but maybe not more than 10 years or so, and I want to touch on the airport. I'm a strong airport supporter. I'm not a supporter of, excessive noise at the airport. But I can see how business people are going to be flying in on VTOLs in the near future and then switching over to an electric car. So we do have to have an airport prepared for this kind of alternative travel. In the future, it's going to be a real bulwark to our businesses. So
Thank you.
That's something that I really want to protect, that is the airport services.
Thank you. Now, Mr. Kartsonis, you may choose one of those two questions, and I will repeat them if you need it.
I do not need it, but thank you.
Okay.
And thank you for the water. I would love to talk about both of them. They're both very important. I've done a video about transit in the city, so you can watch that, but I'll talk about transparency because I think that is a real serious issue that we have in the city right now. Transparency has eroded over the last 4 years in our city, and it's something that I want to fix day one when elected. An effort to decrease city commissions was just brought to city council, which decreases your ability to come out and have your voice heard or participate in your government. City council committees have grown to a point where they're making decisions that are not publicized in the way that you would expect your decisions to make. One example is the effort to annex the area north of Torrance, which is going to cost the city $70 million in infrastructure investments and $11 million loss if you include what we're going to bring in for property tax over the next 10 years beyond that. Another example is city council raising their salary by their travel budget by $70,000 and not having to describe what they used it for as part of the Friendship Cities program. That sort of transparency needs to be addressed immediately.
Thank you. The next question is going to Ms. Brooks, and it is, how will you ensure Torrance is prepared to support a booming senior population with transportation, stairs, caregiving, new kinds of services, affordable housing, some of the concepts that might be necessary for a booming senior population?
Thank you. Well, I think there are a number of ways that we can look at how we can support our seniors. And one is to make sure that our existing senior centers are adequately, the infrastructure is good and solid there, to make sure that we do have the right ADA compliance, stairs and ramps and things like that. But I think it's working with our services office to make sure that we provide trainings and information that is current and relevant to keep our seniors engaged and part of the community. And I think some of that can be through surveys so we can get a better assessment. I know that we do offer like computer, teaching computer lessons and looking at ways to look at investments, and there's a whole host of different kinds of concepts and classes that can be offered to increase the support for our seniors.
Thank you. Ms. Liu, would you like to choose one of these questions?
Sure, I can do that. I'll choose transparency.
Okay.
I think transparency is one of the most important quality about a government, and the residents cannot have any trust in the government, in your city council, if there is no transparency. And transparency is not just a buzzword for me. I've always talked about it, and it's important because we all need to know what is being made, what decisions are being made, who's making them, why they're making them, how they're making them. All these issues that come up in the city council can really have an impact on your lives and your property, on your roads, your parks, your taxes, your homes, and even the city budget. So I think that in order to have the residents to have a real voice in the system, in our democratic city, we need to have transparency, and the city council needs to be always notifying the residents of what's going on. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Kaji, there are 3 questions out here: transparency, alternative forms of transit and mobility, and supporting a booming senior population.
I picked seniors for 100. So as a fellow senior and looking around the room, I see many of my fellow seniors. I think we're faced as a group with a lot of challenges. First of all, the cost of aging in place. I think for many of you, if you own your own home, you know that even after a while, making those 3 steps up to your front door can become a challenge. I think as a city, we need to look at how can we work with developers who specialize in creating communities for seniors, especially here in Torrance, because I don't think local people want to move to Arizona or Texas. All your friends are here. Everything you're familiar with is right here. So how can we, as a city, help in that transition? I think it's something we need to address. Also, the cost of health care, it continues to go up. For seniors who need health care at home, that cost keeps moving up. And for the sandwich generation, for your kids who have to help you and also take care of their kids, it's tough. Thank you.
Thank you. And finally, Mr. Sheikh. We have transparency, transit, and seniors.
Thank you for the opportunity. I'll start with transparency. Transparency is one of the core values for our city, and I believe when you make a decision, you have to lay it out. How are you coming up with that decision? It is an incumbent upon you to make sure you spell it out. How did you come to that conclusion? And transparency also matters even the issues are discussed or in open door session, or the issues will be discussed in a closed door session. You need to market out to the community what kind of informations are disseminating, how would you make decisions, and get input from the community. All good ideas are fortunately come from the community members. So I absolutely support the transparency for that. So I have a 30-second, 1 minute for the other question, right?
No,
Okay.
each
So
person
for
gets 1
senior-
minute.
sure.
So
So I'll address the senior about that.
Later.
Market effectively is the key
No.
role.
Yeah,
Thank you.
next, you can come back to it later.
Thanks.
The next round of questions will begin with Mr. Ward. And this question asks, what are the advantages and disadvantages of annexing El Camino Village?
I choose transparency. Oh, no, I didn't. I've heard this issue discussed before. I'm learning more about it. I'm definitely a lover of El Camino in that area, having had some of our children attend school there and play sports before they went on to another major college. When I was interviewed by the police as well as the fire department for an endorsement, which I think they really wanted to give me, but only one can get it, they are really against this idea of possibly contracting out their services as a part of that solution. Number 2, as my colleague points out here, the loss in property tax revenue and other financial issues seems to be a real no-go. But I do respect my friend and colleague back there, Aurelio, who mentions that we have to consider the fact that we need growth in the town. So that's my position.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Kartsonis, and I will ask, how would you revitalize downtown Torrance?
Downtown Torrance is a lovely place. My family and I go there a lot. We get red car or pick up coffee or just walk the streets. It is a essential core to our city. Bringing in new businesses is very important. Sort of taking a step back from just that area, bringing new businesses to Torrance in general is important. A lot of the businesses down there are service industry related, and they thrive on a community which has a strong business growth. We have Honda right there. They come and they eat at our restaurants. So increasing the economy in the city of Torrance, focusing on bringing in actual businesses to our city again will help revitalize that area. I want to bring that sort of growth across our city. I would love to see that sort of thing in North Torrance. North Torrance is really missing out when it comes to food and places to go and do things. We have some fantastic restaurants, but we're definitely on the lower side of the range there from the rest of our city.
Thank you. Ms. Brooks, El Camino Village or revitalizing downtown?
I think I'll go with revitalizing downtown. I think that there is, I've seen a lot of change over the years where downtown has become a more vibrant place with different small businesses coming in and different restaurants, as well as just more signage and visibility, which has been really helpful. I know there's been conversations in the past about creating some type of business zone or business district that I think would be valuable to re-explore, to try and get where some of the longtime businesses where they're just there's people that are tenants or landlords and have been absentee and are not really a part of the community. I think we need to find ways to engage them so that we can create a business zone that can create more business opportunities and make the community in that area more thriving, because it offers a wonderful historic perspective to our city. I think it's a really vital part of our city, and so I would be supporting looking at different options.
Thank you. Ms. Liu, would you like to choose between those two questions?
Can I answer both of them in 1 minute? If I
In
can?
1 minute, yeah.
I'll try. Well, first of all, I want to talk about annexing the El Camino Village, Alondra Park, in that area. What I've seen on the city council recently is that it will cost our city millions, like the 25 millions or something like that, because we have to open a new police station there. We have to have a fire station coverage over there, and there's just many other things that we have to cover if we were to annex that area. And because that area doesn't have many housing, it's mostly the college or a little village and a park, there's not going to be many property taxes that comes back to our city to maintain itself. And also there are no sales, not many shops out there that can bring in more income to the city so that we can take care of that area properly. So in other words, it just doesn't make sense to me because of that. And in regards to revitalizing downtown, I definitely would love to do that, continue to do that even more. There are many restaurants, bars, Red Car Brewery, a great place to hang out at, and I need to stop. I tried.
Okay. I'm going to add a question. With the increase of higher density housing projects, how will you manage the accessory dwelling units and ensure that residents' needs are met? Mr. Koji.
So can I still pick from the first two?
You want to pick from the first two? Okay.
Okay, so I'm the council member who introduced the potential of annexation, and here's why. El Camino Village is represented by the college, Alondra Park, Alondra Golf Course, and to the north, from Manhattan Beach Boulevard to Marine, is El Camino Village, the residential area. The assessed valuation, property tax assessed valuation for that area is close to $900 million. And I think because it's generating it's generating property tax revenue, and in addition for those residents, guess where they shop? They come to Torrance to shop. So they are also generating sales tax revenue. So I think the notion that it would be a financial black hole to the city is a wrong approach. Instead, by adding an additional 1 square mile, especially El Camino Village, we're increasing our open space by adding the golf course and the park. We're also adding a community college in the city limits of the city of Torrance.
Thank you.
Out of time.
Mr. Sheikh.
Thank you. I'll start with the annexation of El Camino College. The figures tell you it will cost the city of Torrance $25 million to operate El Camino Village. And it will bring $10 million property tax and other revenue from annexation that. Question to you all, would you like to have a bigger Torrance or a better Torrance? The answer is a better Torrance. Currently, we are generating revenue at the rate of 6%, and our expenses are going at the rate of 9%. Yes, we have a good amount of reserve, but we are still not out of the woods. We have to make sure we provide the services that our community deserve. We are still behind. We are still short-staffed with our police officers. We have to make sure we have full officers to serve the community. Annexation is not a good idea. How to revitalize the downtown Torrance? Bring the music. That will bring a lot of people. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we're going to move to the next round of questions. Where am I? I think Mr. Kartsonis. Did I start with you last? No.
It's usually me.
I started with Mr. Mauna. Mr. Ward, okay. Mr. Kartsonis, what are your proposed solutions to addressing rising rents and evictions?
All right. That's an interesting one. As chair of the Planning Commission, I've been very involved in the orderly development of our city. I'm not in favor of irresponsible growth, growing faster than our infrastructure is prepared for. But there has been mandates from the state of California which have forced us to increase development here in the city of Torrance. They brought us a 5,000 units that we had to find a place for in the city of Torrance, and I'm very proud to say that working with our city staff, we were able to find locations for all those, and I'm also very proud to say that we didn't let those creep into our single-family residential neighborhoods, which is really an asset that the city of Torrance has. So we were able to do that by creating density corridors that does increase the housing availability in the city of Torrance. It is something that since the state is forcing us to do it, we need to do our best with it, and I think adding these corridors along transit routes has really been the best way forward.
Thank you. Ms. Brooks.
Do you want me?
You can do that one, or you can, I guess, ask for a new question. Okay, here is another question. Do you support, or did you support the SST measure? Why or why not? Would you consider it a huge success for our city?
I think I wasn't here at the time when the measure went through, so I think, yeah, but I think the SST, now that we have the SST measure, I see that we've been able to use it for a variety of different improvements and infrastructure improvements in the area. And so especially supporting the parks. There are 33 parks within the city, and we've been systematically finding ways now to upgrade those parks. Many of them were built in the late 1950s, 1960s, and have a lot of infrastructure improvements that need to be increased in order to preserve the quality of our parks around us so that we can enjoy them. They also enhance the property values and make our neighborhoods better places for our families to live and play. So that would be my response to that.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Liu.
I'd like to answer the housing, the ADU question.
Okay.
Okay, and I'll start now. I'm very passionate about this particular issue because I live in the Riviera area, and there's been many issues coming up about these ADU. What I think that it's important to have affordable housing on the one hand, but we need to keep the character of the neighborhood the same. We don't want a high-rise in the middle of single-family home areas. And I've talked about this before the Planning Commission and before the City Council several times. And what I want is not for us to go, radically and not follow the state law that we have to allow these ADUs to be built, but rather that we enforce our own hillside overlay ordinance, but amend it, have our city council amend it so it follows an objective development standard. Those standards such as height limits, setbacks, geometric step-down requirements, so at least the hill will look like a hill without it sticking up in the middle of a three-story building right in the middle of a one-story area. So for me, I feel very strongly about this, and we need to amend the hillside overlay. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Koji. We have the housing density and accessory dwelling units. We have addressing rising rents and evictions. And we have, did you support the SST measure? Why or why not? And is it a success?
Thank you. When I ran 4 years ago, I opposed SST. And at the same time, I said that if I was elected, I would look at the past performance of the city, open up the finances, and find out why we needed SST. So what happened? A forensic audit was done by the firm BDO. It discovered that in 2015, the city had $22 million in reserves. By 2020, we were down to $581,000 and rated by the state controller as the 4th worst city in the state of California. You can look at the forensic audit, it's online, and what it showed was that during that period of time, the mayor and the city manager, without informing the council or the public, used those monies to plug budget holes. Now today, we run a balanced budget. Each department starts with a zero-based budget. They need to go before the finance committee, which I chair, and justify their appropriation for the next year. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Sheikh.
Thank you again. I'll start with SST.
Okay.
I believe that most of the decisions that you make based on emotions are not the right decisions. You have to look at the facts, look at the reality, and then make those decisions. What happened during the area when we started SST, we had a COVID, and also we had cyber attack. At the time, there were situations that we may have laid off the city employees. The most valuable asset for our city is the city employees. To avoid all this, what you have to do is look back and see how you can make those adjustments so you don't have to close the libraries, you don't have to lay off any staff, and you don't have to lay off any officers. That's what matters. The decision was the right decision at the right time, but I'm not saying this decision is perfect for all these situations, but the decision that was made, that was well thought of, it was very well understood by the community, and thank you for the community for saving the city employees and our libraries. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Mauna, would you like to choose a question?
Sure. I'll try to knock off a couple of them.
Okay.
The El Camino situation. In private industry, if someone were to undertake that, they would do a very extensive analysis, study, forecast that would go out maybe 20, 30 years. You have to take into consideration not only the city of Torrance, but the Torrance Unified School District. It could be a benefit with one or the other, but you have to look long-term. So without that type of information, it's difficult. We're just kind of guessing. Regarding downtown Torrance real quickly, the problem there has been for the last 40 years, parking. Without parking, it's just a struggle. Anybody who goes out there is going to have a challenge. ADUs, that is mandated by the state, has really made the situation worse. We as a city, we're a charter city, we can look into providing some other conditions that would regulate an ADU that impacts the hillside area or other areas. If we're not able to stop it, we can at least amend it and try to guide what an ADU can impact. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Ward.
And let me take a crack at all three real quick. In principle, I think clearly SST has been shown to be a boon to the city. Look at the surplus that we have now. Unfortunately, the firemen are still on the short end of the infrastructure, even though the safety folks are really at the forefront. So let's follow through and really give them their fair share of the SST support. I don't support rent control per se, but being a physician who has to visit the elderly and see what their situation is in terms of right on the spot, some kind of assistance for the elderly rent is going to be necessary. Otherwise, these people are going to be shut out of Torrance. And lastly, for the hillside overlay, of course, we all want to support that community, but we're not going to win this by starting lawsuits, using up our HOA money for lawsuits we're not going to win. We need to pull together. The neighbors need to write their state lawmakers. We need to stop putting people in the office who are going to be voting against your interests like this, and work together with the city council to overcome this together. Thank you.
Thank you. For the next question, we will begin with Ms. Liu. Pardon me?
I think you start with me now.
Ms. Brooks, starts with Ms. Brooks, Michelle Brooks.
Okay. I thought I had started with her on the last one, but in that case, what is your position, Ms. Brooks, regarding South Torrance Christmas decorations and homeowners only selling food items on their property?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I think the holiday lights have been a wonderful part of our community for many, many years, and I know that the Seaside residents many of them have enjoyed being a part of that process. The decorations, the creativity, and the selling of food. I think that because of the laws and some of the issues that were happening where you started having outside vendors coming in and people were breaking and making code violations of, cooking on hibachis off, things that were potentially health hazards, that we had to move forward with some kind of structure. I know that the ordinance has been with some frustration, and yet I think it's something that we have to continue to have conversation and dialogue with the community to see how we can continue to provide some type of opportunity for them to sell food and to sell drinks and then enjoy the holiday season that way.
Thank you. Ms. Liu.
Yes, the issue is about the South Torrance decoration, and we're talking about the seaside area of District 5, where they have the famous Christmas tree lane, candy cane lane, many Sleepy Hollow. It's a wonderful place to be during the Christmas time. But because we have gotten so famous, one of the many famous things about Torrance, there have been a lot of other residents coming in, and there are thousands and thousands of people coming in that are significantly disturbing the traffic. If you've ever been in there, it's always stuck. And the problem is, we've always sold, our residents, our homeowners have always been able to sell little food, hot chocolate right there in the middle of the night when it's all cold. But now the state came down with a cottage food ordinance that does not allow individual homeowners to be able to sell such things. So the city will now spend $200,000 for the police enforcement, and I truly support that because I think that is important, as safety is my number one concern, and I'm a former prosecutor. So therefore, I will keep the money spending for safety there and allow shopping, selling.
Thank you. Mr. Koji, do you want to deal with South Torrance, or would you like a new question?
Mr. Kaji, yes. So I've taken my kids to the holiday lights. They've had a great time. I've enjoyed walking around there, but this is in the good old days. When it came to the council, and to my shock, I found out that it was costing over $200,000, and the direct impact to the north end was that police personnel were being shifted from North Torrance down to cover that event. I said, time out. And I think I've been quoted as having said, bah humbug. Yes, I did say bah humbug. So I think it's great if it's regulated. I think it's been a magnet for outside people to come in and make a quick buck, selling food products that you don't know if it was on the ground, you don't know if it's good or bad. But I think now, let's give this new ordinance a chance to work out, and I think it'll benefit the residents, the visitors, and maybe take some pressure off of our law enforcement. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, Mr. Sheikh.
Thank you. I'll start with cottage ordinance. I've been to a lot of cities. At my American Honda, I used to travel almost every city for auditing purposes. Whenever I come back to the city of Torrance, I was asked, what is there in the city of Torrance that we can call it wow factor? And honestly, we don't have anything really, really wow factor in Torrance, but we are trying our best to bring something wow in the next few years. This cottage ordinance and the lights that we have, it is very close to that. People from different cities, they come and enjoy the lights. I will not take that away from that. However, there are ambiguities about this ordinance. I'm the only council member who tried to bring it back to have more clarity on this cottage ordinance. They have to put a label, they have to be cooked, and there are a lot of ambiguities. So I tried to bring it back, but I did not succeed in bringing this back. This cottage ordinance needed to be reviewed and looked at it, and we need to get input directly from you, the community member. Thanks.
Thank you. Mr. Mauno, if elected to the City Council, when faced with opposing viewpoints, how would you ensure that your approach stays focused on solutions to problems rather than conflict?
Well, it comes down to listening and trying to look at the other person, give them empathy and understanding and openness. And sometimes we judge things too fast, too quick. And you really have to consciously try to look at the other person, the other side, and say, do they make a point? You just have to be an open person. It's just something within us. There's no law that will say you have to conduct yourself this way or that way. It's just our personal curiosity and fairness, and never give people a chance and keep an open mind. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Ward, would you like to address that particular participation question or choose a different one?
Okay, I like that one, okay.
Okay.
When you,
If elected to the City Council when faced with opposing viewpoints, how would you ensure that your approach stays focused on solutions rather than conflict among council members?
all right. Well, I believe that I have fairly strong persuasive powers as a physician and a naval officer and a leader of men and women in a wartime environment. My hospital budget when I was chief at the VA wasn't necessarily $480 million, but it was like $130 million at two different hospitals. So, I've had a lot of responsibility. When you're electing people to office, and this is the first really large office I've run for, you're looking for a problem solver. We should be solving problems that are really helping you to solve your problem, like this hillside overlay. We're not going to sue our way out of this. We're not going to process our way out of this. We're going to have to work together with our neighbors and fellow city councilmen like Aurelio and others tell me. It takes 4 votes, Harry, to get anything done here. So we're going to have to work together. We're going to have to be persuasive. As a physician, I have to make life and death decisions all the time. So, let's bring it on, but do good for Torrance. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Kartsonis.
All right. Yeah, as a planning commissioner, having served on the Parks and Recreation Commission, as chair of the Planning Commission right now, I have a lot of experience with working together with my with my peers to come to a consensus that actually moves us forward in a very proactive way. And I would love to bring that to the City Council as well. I think it is a serious issue that we actually have on our current City Council right now. I can think of a specific situation where a council member tried to move forward an idea to rename a park and then to rebrand our Armed Forces Day Parade after a specific individual. And when that was questioned by other council members, that council member went all up to wrote an article in a newspaper calling them essentially racist. That's not how you work with your fellow council members, and it's not acceptable behavior from a council member. The mayor needs to allow everyone to serve on council committees. That's very important as well. So the council as a whole is very important, and it's really absolutely of utmost importance that they're able to work together.
Thank you. Ms. Brooks?
Yeah, can you just repeat the question one more time, please?
Okay. If elected to the City Council, when faced with opposing viewpoints, how would you ensure that your approach stays focused on finding solutions rather than conflict?
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, I've had a lot of experience in working with individuals where I may not agree or where we have different viewpoints, and I'm always trying to find common ground and ways that we can solve problems productively. I think it's always important to keep your eye on the residents you're serving because that's the most important thing, is what's going to benefit Torrance, and to make sure that we get input from the residents that we're serving in making our decisions. But I've had a lot of experience in working across bipartisan with a lot of diverse groups that are angry at each other. But I enjoy that process, actually, of trying to come in and finding that common ground.
Thank you. I think we'll entertain a new question, but anybody who wants to can come back to that question. This one, what are 3 programs that you wish to put into place in the city of Torrance? And Ms. Liu?
Wow, if I can do whatever I want as a city councilman, that would be great. But very importantly, I think we need to have the consensus of the city council no matter what I want to do. One of the things I always want to address is what I said earlier about the ADU and the hillside overlay ordinance. I want our city to be able to enforce that and amend to standard development standards. That's the one thing that I talked about earlier. Another thing that I'm concerned about is the airport. Please don't sell our airport. Please do not change it into any other kind of development. I think our airport is definitely a jewel here in the South Bay, not just the city, our city. And so therefore, I want to make sure that the enforcement of the airport rules are followed, such as no touch and goes, and also pushing for unleaded fuel so that the fuel would not have all these pollution and residue when it's flying over the residential area and especially the schools, where the leaded fuel will, be very harmful to our health of everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Koji?
Getting close. So I don't want the audience here to think that members of the council are fighting each other all the time and it's just constant turmoil on the 3rd floor. Nothing like that exists most of the time. But I'll say this. What I've been surprised to see is unanimity and a consensus when it comes to the city's real estate. So as a group, we've been looking at how our city real estate performs. We're moving forward with a civic center master plan to envision what we might do with this real estate here, which is a mix of older buildings. And how can we use our real estate as a city to generate revenue to pay for services? So I've been happy to see that as a group of council members, we've been working together to get to that point.
Thank you. Mr. Sheikh?
Thank you. Number one thing comes to my mind is tracking mechanism for all the contacts, all the calls that we have. Anytime any residents that contact the city of Torrance, there's no calls in place that record what conversation has been done. I've been requesting, and we're looking into a way that we can have community members contact, and calls are being recorded so we can monitor and find a mechanism to see the progress being made for each of those contacts. The other thing is audit program. I'm a big advocate to have internal as well as external audit for financial and as well as for internal efficiency. Efficiency in the government is very critical for our organization. We are fortunate that we have a very, very professional people, very professional staff in our city of staff, but we need to have a bench to make sure if someone retires. In the recent years, there are about 3-4 people already retired. And my goal is to have a succession plan for all the new people. Thanks.
Thank you. Mr. Mauno?
If I could pick 3, the first would be, I'd like to institute some architectural standards for Old Torrance. And so to maintain the character. So if somebody's going to scrape a house, rebuild the house, earthquake damage, you have to maintain the character of Old Torrance. It is such a gem, and if you rebuild, you can match that architectural quality. Number 2, I'd like to increase the senior program, something very simple. I want the city of Torrance to make available to our seniors grab bars. People fall in their homes. It's the number 1 causes of people falling. I want to make sure that there's a program, you can put them in showers, at the front doors, as somebody already mentioned, make it safer. The third, I'd like to take a survey and see what the public would like to do, but those 2 are kind of important to me. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Ward?
Thank you. I was really moved this week speaking to the fire department and the Firemen's Association. I think they really are suffering in some of their firehouses, which turns out to be their second home when they're not at home. So they don't need to have, leaky roofs and, falling floors and, other kinds of issues where they live. So I think we should definitely take some of that surplus money and target it towards the fire stations. My understanding is that the city manager has a plan to help them, but I think we need to accelerate it. Number 2, I thought I owned the airport issue, Betty, but that's okay, you can take some. And we really want to make that a first-class airport. We're going to need it over the next 10 years, and it's going to have to really run well to manage all this VTOL and the new business that's coming. Maybe we can get a couple of more people on the city council to vote more proactively for the airport. So, Betty, if you're willing to move to District 4, I'll come in 5 and you go into 4 and we'll do this together. That was a joke, but okay, didn't go with it. But then seriously, the last thing, you mentioned seniors. Time for me to stop. I couldn't get in number 3, sorry.
Okay, Mr. Kartsonis?
All right, yeah, I have a few. I'll probably actually give you 4. I'm sorry to break the rules, but the first one, it actually has been mentioned by other candidates that you've heard from and will hear from, but a Blue Ribbon Commission on Ethics is something I'd really love to see brought back to the city of Torrance. We used to have one, we do not now. Ethics, you've heard me talk about, there are some serious issues going on in the city of Torrance. I would like to reevaluate our ethics code when it comes to elected officials and when it comes to our elections. There's a lot of things that we need to fix. Another fire station, I think, is important. We've been promised one for a long time, and we have two stations jammed into one at Station 1, so I think being able to protect the area beyond, literally beyond the other side of the tracks is important. An economic development department. We have one right now, but it is not invested in and it is not targeted the way it should be, and we are suffering as a city because of that. So revitalizing our economic development department is going to be essential. And lastly, I think taking over Hawthorne Boulevard from Caltrans is very important, and it will help us resolve traffic, time our street lights, something I really, really want to expedite.
Thank you. And Ms. Brooks, have you had a chance to answer that question?
No, I have not.
Would you like to?
Sure, I can answer that question. I think, first and foremost, we need to work really hard with our fellow cities to push back on to insert local control. I think we want to find ways that we can especially around the hillside overlay and the ADUs. As a matter of fact, over the last 5 years, Sacramento has passed 12 different laws just impacting ADUs alone. So I'd really like to see us at a regional approach as we look at both our housing and development and affordability. I also would like to see how we can support small businesses and ways to fine-tune that within our outreach from the city, as well as I would agree that the fire stations, especially Station 1, needs to have some additional infrastructure work done there.
Okay, thank you. Now we'll begin with Mr. Kaji. How will you maintain local control while meeting regional and state obligations?
So local control means that we as a city have control over development and activities that occur here in Torrance. But I think as many of you have seen, much of our ability to control locally has been taken away by the state. And so we have a lot of mandated obligations to provide 5,000 low-income housing units without any money behind it. So my hope, and this is one concept that we're talking about at the Council of Governments, of which Torrance is a member, is how is it possible for us as cities to work together cooperatively? We're going to be having the first meeting of the South Bay Housing Trust coming up on April 30th. And that will be a cooperative effort among the 15 member cities to come up with a regional approach to meeting the needs of our low-income members as well as workforce housing for a lot of our city workers, emergency workers, and healthcare workers.
Okay, thank you. And Mr. Sheikh.
Thank you. Local control has been diminishing for the years, and maybe the reason is that we don't have enough voice to Sacramento. Excuse me, I'm losing my voice. We need to have good relationship. As a city council, this body needs to have a good relationship with the Sacramento and also with other agencies to make sure their voices are heard. A great example is the hillside overlay ordinance. There are so many problems the way the state is mandating us to control and take over that aspect. That will ruin our city, and the people have spent millions of dollars to get the view for their houses, but that has been diminishing. The best way is, again, to have a relationship, make your voices known directly to the Sacramento, and have a good relationship. I think this council needs to build strong relationship with the county, with the state, and with the feds, and that will change the entire scenario. Thanks.
Thank you. Mr. Mauno, do you want to address that question or another one?
Sure. I don't disagree with my fellow opponent on that, but hasn't worked. Last night I did the math. Of the 5,000 units that were required, half of them have to be low-income units. What the state requires a low-income unit is 2 people who are on minimum wage who live in that unit. I did the math. When you're at that pay income, the largest loan that they could be obtained to is around $400,000. When it costs over about $1 million to put a condominium down, that's a shortfall of $600,000. That is a major difference. And I think we as cities have to get together and basically take this to federal court, let it go all the way to the Supreme Court. And if the state of California wants us to build houses and we have to pay for them, that's just not right.
Thank you. Mr. Sonis. Oh, I'm sorry, Dr. Ward. Do you want to address that question, or do you want another option? Is there another question? What areas or projects need the most investment by the city of Torrance?
You don't mean necessarily physical areas, you mean any just services, for example? That could be.
You could address it that way, I'm
Yeah,
sure.
well, okay, I just want to reiterate that, I've discovered in my short campaign that our fire department infrastructure really needs a boost. Those gentlemen are out on the front lines, they supported the SST, and as far as I can see, they're getting kind of the short end of the stick. So that is an area that I want to reiterate that needs support, the fire department infrastructure. Of course, I support our police. I work at MEPS, which is the Military Processing Center here in El Segundo. Today, I brought in about 12 new service members, and this week I brought in over 100. We swear in 250 every day. If I can, I pick off 1 or 2 of them for the fire department or Torrance if they either change their minds about the military or encourage them 3 or 4 years later to come back and work in Torrance. So I'm working down in the weeds to try to recruit, as well as looking at the big picture in terms of how we can improve this city and work together. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. There are several other questions, and I'm going to throw them out there, and you can pick which ones you'd like. One is, could we create car tags that would allow for longer parking at the Bartlett Senior Center beyond 2 hours? And another one, also having to do with transportation, how would you create and protect safe, separated bicycle lanes in Torrance?
All right, I'm going to try to talk about as much as I can, and then I'll stop when I run out of time. Areas that need investment, North Torrance. North Torrance needs some investment, especially North Torrance. Our parks, I did a video, I'll let you go watch it, it's on my website, david4torrance.com. Did a video about our parks, and Gunzer Park, which is the largest city in District 1, is borderline unusable. I would not have a child's birthday party there because our splinter tables are not safe to use. We did get our basketball court in Gunzer Park repainted, so I guess that's nice, but it's not the same thing as having a park that we are able to use. The walking path is not even usable. Sidewalks, we need to invest in fixing our sidewalks. We have some tree issues, I know the city's addressing that, but making our city ADA compliant and safe for seniors to walk around their neighborhood, very important. Our police department is an important one as well. We're down 30 police officers, or about 30 police officers, so getting fully staffed. Fire department has been mentioned. A lot of our fire stations are in need of repair. Bikes. The City of Torrance adopted the South Bay Bicycle Coalition master plan and then has done almost nothing to actually make it a reality. We need to make it a reality, and I did a video on that too, so you can watch that. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Brooks?
Sure. I think some areas that we need to look at as far as investment is concerned includes, love to see what would happen getting the project at Del Amo Mall off the ground, where Sears and Penny's is. I think we really need to figure out how we're going to be looking at that as far as a mixed-use project, but I think it's become a question that gets asked of me quite often when I'm talking to neighbors. And also just to see the ways, I think there's a great Torrance CA app that a lot of people aren't aware that they can use to request different information if they've had a coyote sighting, if they've needed potholes repaired, and just making more people aware of the things and the tools that they have access to, so as that's part of a marketing campaign. And I also think that we need to look at ways to improve our website for the City of Torrance. I think right now it's a little text heavy, text dense, and I think there would be value in investing in that, because that becomes then a vehicle to inform the broader community.
Thank you. And now Ms. Liu.
Yes, in choosing which question to answer, I'd like to address the local control while following state law question, because
Okay.
this is the most important, thank you. This is the most important, one of the most important things that is facing Torrance in regards to many different areas that we have. I think it is important to have great relationship with the people who are putting the state law on us, which are the state legislators. And because I've been so active in the last few decades here in Torrance and in the South Bay, I have, for a very long time, I have a lot of good contacts within the state, the local government, neighboring government, and the federal government. And so I will use, because I'm an attorney trained in the law, I actually noticed quite a few loopholes that there are in the state laws that are being implemented. So for example, I think that the hillside overlay ordinance that you guys know by now, I'm very passionate about. We can put in objective standard development, objective development standards, so that it will comply with what we want happening here in our city of Torrance for our residents. Thank you.
Thank you. And now we have reached the time at which we will proceed to closing statements, and each candidate will have 1.5 minutes to give their closing statement. And as we said at the beginning, the closing statements will be in reverse order from opening statements. So that means that we will begin with Mr. John Kaji.
It's been a pleasure to be here tonight and to field all your various questions. As I mentioned before, I serve as a full-time council member, and my wife allows me to, because she'd rather have me out of the house being productive than in her way. What I enjoy about being a full-time council member is that when I get an inquiry from a resident who has a cracked sidewalk caused by a tree, or any other issues, I respond. I usually show up. Because I live near North Torrance, I could be anywhere in the district in about, probably like a few minutes. So the way I benchmark my performance is responsiveness to residents' needs. And there's been a range of issues that have come up. We had an issue where an RV was overparked more than 72 hours and wouldn't move. We took care of that. When we had a homeless situation, also we had a family that was facing a mental health crisis, which required TPD involvement. It was tough, and yet we were able to work things out with the local neighborhood. Looking ahead, as a council member, I believe in order for our city to attract and retain the best personnel, we need to provide workforce housing. Once upon a time, if you work for the city, you could buy a house in the city. Today, a very small percentage of our personnel can actually afford to live in Torrance. So my focus in my next term would be to address and create workforce housing. Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Liu.
Yes, one reason my family and I love Torrance is because it still feels like a small town, despite being a large city, technically. Very familiar with a lot of the faces here in the audience. I've seen you around. I know that you guys are the ones who care about our city. But at the same time, even though I see a lot of you, Torrance has the energy of a local tourist destination. That brings us in a lot of revenue in our city. We can go to one of America's largest shopping malls. We can go to the beautiful Torrance Beach and restaurants serving cuisines from Japan, Mexico, and Peru. And of course, I want that steak house. But I'm running to preserve the character. But seriously, I'm running to preserve the character of Torrance that all of us have come to really know and love. I will always enforce the Hillside Overlay Ordinance and will fight to put in stronger, more objective standards. And as a former Deputy Attorney General at the California Department of Justice, I would champion public safety. Businesses cannot strive in their environment if it's not safe, and that's why the Torrance Police Officers Association, the Torrance Police Commanders Association, and the Torrance Firefighters Association have endorsed me. They trust me, and I sincerely that you will too. I will focus on economic development and keep spending under control. As a school board member and now president of board, I have balanced over $300 million budgets for the last 7 years. And because of my experience and ability to get things done, I'm honored to be endorsed by 15 current and former council members, and many community leaders like Riviera Homeowners Association past President Pam Popovich and Judy Brunelli, and former Seaside Neighborhood President Tricia Blanco. I humbly ask for your vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll hear from Michelle Brooks.
Sure. If elected to the City Council, I promise to work hard on behalf of each one of you. I'm actually the only candidate in this race for the District 5 that grew up here in Torrance. I have deep local roots. I learned to play tennis at Walteria Park with my dad. My mom took us to art classes over at the Jocelyn Center, as well as my first job was at the Del Amo Mall. So anyway, so it was the Del Amo Mall, and I know what the City of Torrance residents care about. I know what District 5 residents value, and I am committed to moving forward in supporting those efforts. I also have direct work experience at the local, state, and federal level of government. I've worked across the aisle. I've worked with many of the individuals who are even presently in office right now. And I've been able to solve problems and come up with results, working across diverse groups as well as on a bipartisan basis. I would continue to support our police and fire and get the best personnel possible. I will also be fighting for the hillside overlay to maintain the integrity of that ordinance and making sure that we don't lose aspects of that ordinance by over-promising things that we may look at as far as litigation is concerned. And I would ask for your vote on June 2nd. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, we will hear from David Kartsonis.
Thank you. What I bring is a different leadership style. As a planning commissioner, I've worked closely with residents, commissioners, business owners, and city staff to find solutions that bring people together. I've also been fortunate to receive support from leaders across Torrance, including former mayors, several council members, and many community leaders and business owners, as well as the Torrance Firefighters Association and the Torrance Police Commanders Association. To me, that reflects something important. People who know the city and how it works believe I can help move Torrance forward in a collaborative way. My focus is simple: protecting our neighborhoods, supporting public safety, making us fiscally responsible, and restoring transparency and ethics to our city. In addition to certain crimes being up in North Torrance, we've been neglected these last 4 years more than ever before, and the residents are taking notice of our non-present representative. Being a council member is not a hobby. I can tell you unequivocally that we are not better off now than we were 4 years ago. I've spent years serving and better understanding this community as a planning commissioner. My kids are growing up here, and I want to ensure Torrance remains a great place to raise my family, run my business, and for them to raise their families. And we do that by making sure Torrance remains a great city. I didn't move to this district just to run for city council, and I'm the only candidate that owns a home in North Torrance. I'm the only candidate raising a family in North Torrance. I'm also the only candidate for District 1 that was a registered District 1 voter over the last 4 years. So help me get our city back on track, please. My name is David Kartsonis, and if you agree with my view for the city, I would be honored to have earned your support and help getting the word out. You can contact me at davidfortorrance.com. I have a list of many more endorsements on there, including the Business Federation, the BizFed PAC, to bring back businesses to Torrance. Sorry, I didn't see you. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you. Now we will hear from Dr. Harry Ward.
Thank you. Again, I heard a few more people saying the same thing now. You're looking for a problem solver in your political offices here. Okay, not a litigator, not a person serving process, not someone who's a lobbyist, not someone who's going to necessarily lean on Washington or other connections. I'm not trying to step up to get a promotion. I've had plenty of promotions in this life. I don't have to do this. I'm doing this for service. What happened to my mic? I can speak a lot. Thanks, David, for throwing me that lifeline. So I'm not the kind of politician who goes out looking for a lot of endorsements, although I accept them, wholeheartedly. Mayor Scotto and Derek Gates and a lot of professors and people and military folks over the years that I've known who supported me. Not all of us can get the endorsements. They can all like us, but not all of us can have the endorsements. So endorsements are nice, and being born in Torrance is fine. I'm sorry I was born on a remote military base, but that's how it goes, and I moved here as fast as I could get here. But basically, you want someone who you can trust. I think you can trust veterans. You can trust physicians for the most part. You can trust people who've been in executive leadership, making life and death decisions, making battlefield decisions, handling your greatest secrets in the war zones and on ships. I think I've proven myself as a leader, and I'm asking for your vote come June 2nd. You can see my Meta videos on Facebook and Instagram now, and I'm walking your neighborhoods. 4,500 homes and apartments visited already, only have about 2,500 to go.
Thank you. Now we will hear from Mike Mauno.
Thank you so much for spending the evening with us. Before I finish, I want to share something close to me. I was raised right here in District Number 3. I walked these same streets as a little boy, and I've had the joy of raising my 3 children here in our neighborhood schools. I'm proud to have served on the council before, where I fought hard for our families and delivered real results, like the $17 million border swap that strengthened our city and schools, the smoking ban at Torrance Beach, and pushing back against out-of-place high-density projects. I even spent a full 24 hours on shift with our firefighters just to understand their daily challenges. Today, I'm watching irresponsible high-density projects forced on us by the state. On the homeless crisis, I stepped up and wrote a 37-page report against the county's Home Key Plus project that would have brought drug addicts and mentally ill into our civic center. After the report was sent to the county, they abandoned the project. District 3 needs a fighter again, a watchdog, who knows the city, who isn't afraid to stand up to favored politicians and special interest groups, someone who could bring people together to get things done. On June 2nd, I'm asking for your vote. Let's keep our city strong, safe, and ours. Thank you.
Thank you. And finally, we will hear from Assam Sheikh.
Thank you to the League Women of Voters for hosting this wonderful forum. Thank you for the engagement. And thank you for all of you for being here. Thank you for your participation. That's how you get to know us. Thank you for being here. I'm humbled and I'm thankful for the Torrance community for giving me the chance to serve you for the last 4 years. I have worked hard and I have produced results. Don't let anyone fool you that one person changed the Home Key Plus in your city. You did your part. As your council, I did my part. The city staff did their part. We all worked together, and that's how we stopped that Home Key Plus. I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to engage with you. I want to thank you for having conversation with me on a daily basis. I'm the only council person who meet with the staff on a weekly basis. And in addition to that, I take the staff on the field with me on a monthly basis since the day I got elected. I have a professional 30 years experience with American Honda. I have been very professional. I have been engaged. I have proven the results. And I want you to come and have a shake with Assam Sheikh. Also, I want to thank you for listening to me and engaging with me. God bless America. God bless you all, and God bless our city of Torrance. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. Let's give all of our candidates a hand.
This is great, as always. You are really good with this.
Okay, thank you all. Now we're asking the council candidates to vacate these seats so that we can invite our mayor and treasurer candidates to come forward and take a seat.